What's up, everybody? This is your girl, Virtuous, Diva, and Company. And of course, we are on almost a week into quarantine. I know everybody's about to lose their mind because they've been sitting in the house, but I decided to get my ass out today and get some fresh air. But without further ado, this podcast is definitely about relationships and dating and, all the above. So we have a special guest on today, Mr. Locario. Hello. How are you?
What's up? I'm glad to be on the show. What's going on?
Nothing much. I'm glad we got a chance to bump into. I'm glad I got a chance to bump into this wonderful human being. He is in the he's a sight for eyes. So you ladies, just understand he's a sight for eyes. He's easy on the eyes. But he is an author, he's a life coach, and he is definitely a dating coach as well too. So you got the full package all into one person, which is a great thing nowadays because people are struggling with different things as far as mental health, and people are struggling with relationships and so forth. And he gives a huge perspective on both grounds when it comes to your personal life and relationships and so forth. So what's going on with you, Mr. Locario? I'm glad you was able to join me today.
Yeah, I'm good. Just being busy working, putting out more content since more people are at home watching the internet. So it's a great time to, just spread some more information out there. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's up. So tell the audience a little bit about who you are and kind of how you got started into this line of work and, and so forth.
Yeah, so basically I'm a dating and life coach. So I help men and women, find exactly what they want in their dating lives and their love lives, and just their lives in general. And I help them find that. So I help them to get specific in what it is exactly they want and then go for that. So what happens a lot of times, especially with like relationships and dating and things like that, are, there's a lot of people who don't know what they want. And so they just are sort of walking around aimlessly trying to do everything, or they think they know what they want, but it's usually things that they've been told they should do. So, for example, somebody might want to, let's say you might have a guy who wants to be a player. He wants to go out here and date, but, people are telling him that's wrong. You shouldn't do that. Or the opposite could be true. He could want to actually have a long-term relationship, have a girlfriend, and everyone's telling him he should be a player. So it just all depends on the person and what they want.
Right.
You know what I mean? The same thing for women, too. For women, sometimes people will say, hey, well, by this age and by this time, you need to have this going on in your dating life, but maybe you might not want that. Maybe you might want something else. So try to help people find that,
Okay. So how'd you get started on this? I know I've never met a dating coach. I've heard of life coach, but I never met anyone that does dating, and especially a black man at that. So that's very new for me. That's very new and improved for me. But tell me how you got started. What made you jump into this industry?
Well, there's a few dating coaches out there. We're sprinkled around, but what made me want to get into it was just my own experience dating and certain things that I made mistakes on, and certain things that I went through. And I was like, okay, I was like one of the guys out of my group of friends who was really good at getting girls, and so I started helping my friends attract women. And through that, I was like, hey, maybe I could make a living off this. So my business partner and I, who's also one of my best friends, we came up with this idea of coaching and, helping people out with relationships and everything like that. Mm-hmm. So it just came from like me wanting to help people so they don't got to go through the same mistakes. Because the thing is, it's like the information is out there, but before, back in the day, the information that's out now wasn't as easily available. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we can do things like this, just like we're doing a podcast now, and we have the means to get it out there. It's like, it's a good thing to just really do and put it out there and be able to help people. So I always like helping people. So I was like, let me just do it in this way, because this is something that, I know how to do. This is something that I have knowledge on, and this is something that I can keep doing to help more people.
Right. And well, this something that caught my eye about when it comes to dating and people, you being in the industry, when it comes to dating and putting this together as far as a job, How rewarding is that? I mean, is there a huge reward in that? Is there many people who are jumping into that, not the field, but are they jumping into the fact that, okay, I really need this help? You know, how does that work?
Yeah, well, the thing is, at first, I didn't even think that there were a lot of people who needed help in this field, like, you know, in this topic as far as dating.
Right.
But as I was starting to, you know, do videos and blogs and write books and everything, I started to see how many people actually needed help with it. Because this is the thing, what happens is we, as men and women, we're projecting our own thoughts on the opposite sex. So,
right.
for example, you might have guys out there who say, well, I'm not really a good-looking guy, so I'm not going to be able to attract a woman because I don't look like the best-looking dude. But we're thinking that because we're thinking from our perspective of how we are visually stimulated to a higher, you know, we're visually stimulated to a higher extent generally than women. Like women will find a guy attractive physically, but it's not to the extent that we find women attractive. Like that's like a huge thing for us, but it's not as huge as a huge thing for y'all. Like y'all like that, but it's not the same thing.
Right.
So we're projecting our own thoughts onto women, and also women do the same thing. So for example, this is why you'll have women who will brag about, oh, I got my degrees and I got this going and that going. And it's like, us men, we're like, well, that's cool, but that's not really a big deal to us. But to women, it's a big deal in the sense for a man. Like, let's say she's trying to find a husband or a boyfriend or somebody to be in a serious relationship with. She wants to know that he has some sort of, you know, things going on in his life, some stability, all that other stuff. But so women are projecting that onto to us. So a woman's like, why doesn't this guy want me? I have my stuff together. But to us, that's not a big deal. You see what I'm saying? Right. And then men are like, this woman's not going to want me because I'm not looking, you know, I don't look like Idris Elba. But to a woman, that's not that big of a deal. If the guy, he doesn't have to be like a supermodel. You know what I'm saying? He just has to take care of himself, you know how to speak, you know what I'm saying? Do some shit and he'll be good. You know what I mean? So it's not as crazy.
Well, I think this is my thing when it comes to dating in general, and these are some of the issues I faced over time. I think because I noticed your website is called Bad Boy Membership. Don't say bad boy and bad girl. It just says bad.
Right.
It says bad boy. So I think, but that I think that catches my eye in a sense because, you know, when it comes to dating and the person that you're seeking after of, I think you have to get to know who you are generally. You know, is that something that you work with closely with that person when do you take an overview of who they are? Do you take down information about who that person is before you get started with them? Or how does that generally go when a person joins this membership or they join into your business to help them kind of help them further build relationship, not with themselves, but with other people?
Right. So the Bad Boy Membership program is badboymembership.com. That's a program for men that each month I do a 45 through 90 minute audio and video tutorial. So it's sort of general information that's broken down into smaller steps for guys to sort of understand and implement. So that's like it's almost like a class every month you partake in. And so when it comes to one-on-one information, like if let's say I'm coaching somebody one-on-one, that's when, like, if I'm doing a Skype session or I'm doing an in-person session, that's when I get down to the nitty-gritty of that particular individual, which is why I always tell, people that individual coaching is good because it gets down to the specifics of what you're trying to do for your specific situation. So, for example, if I'm coaching someone one-on-one and a guy, let's say he just has issues with, so he's like scared to approach women because he has social anxiety, he's insecure, all these different things that, that I help him with to sort of overcome so he can get to the next step and get to the next level. You see what I mean? So it's like certain things that may hold a person back that they don't necessarily know is holding them back. That if they actually worked on that could be something that can get them to the next level. So, for example, you might have a woman who she's like wondering, why am I not getting the guys I want, or why am I not attracting the guys that she wants? And it could be something, for example, like let's say she has like a bad attitude or she's kind of combative, but she doesn't necessarily know that's the thing that's turning off the guys. You see what I'm saying? So it's like certain things that people don't really know that they may be doing, or certain things that they should be doing to actually, get that result, which is where the individual, coaching could really help a person out. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, I've been on dating sites and I feel like I'm desperate in a sense because even being coming from a lifestyle where you generally met people in public, like at the club or at the grocery store, things like that. When it comes to online dating, what are your biggest pet peeves and why? Because that right there is scary. I've heard stories and seen things, and now mind you, that's taking a huge risk. You're taking a huge risk now.
Right.
You don't know if you're gonna win the lottery or not, but you're taking a huge ass risk. What are your pet peeves when it comes to online dating?
As far as being a man doing online dating, or just in general?
I think in general. I think just in general for what is your pet peeve? Because like I said, online dating is something that I'm pretty sure you talk to your clients about. Right. Do they get on? Do they stay off while you're working with them, or how does that go?
Right. Well, the thing with online dating, I think the biggest issue a lot of times is people not actually meeting. You know what I mean? That's I see that on both sides, where people take a long time to actually meet the person they're interacting with. So a lot of people like to be on there just talking back and forth. And both men and women do this, where they'll just go back and forth for a while. So my thing is, I tell people that you want to be able to meet as soon as possible, because the thing is, you actually have to see if you have chemistry in person. Mm-hmm. See, you could go back and forth all day on these sites, but when you are actually in front of that person, y'all are talking, y'all are exchanging, energy or whatever. You got to see if that person, y'all click, because you could, like, for example, you could be talking to a guy for like 2 or 3 weeks on Tinder or Bumble or OkCupid or any of these sites, and then you finally meet him. And let's say, you don't like the sound of his voice. You just been texting him all day. Or his breath stink or something. Or he just, he doesn't look like how he looks in his photos. Like he looks totally different. Like all these different things that you actually would need to meet the person. Because even sometimes you can do like a FaceTime thing on your phone. But even then, you still need to actually be in the physical space with the person to really see, like, if this is something that that's gonna be beneficial for both of y'all. Right. And so a lot of times when people spend so much time on the site, it's like they're still gambling. It's still a waste of time in a lot of situations, because if you spend all that time and then you meet and it doesn't click and it doesn't work. It's like you spent 3-4 weeks talking with this person.
You didn't get shit out of it.
Right, exactly.
You didn't get nothing out of it.
Y'all don't click, right? You see what I mean?
I think my biggest problem was because I got offline dating, and because I just knew, like, okay, I'll try it, I'll get back on, and I'll try it and get back on. But I felt like, wait a minute, you're going in the same cycle. You're recreating your own foolishness, mess, what I call it. And I just, like I said, I'm very old fashioned. I prefer to meet someone in public and so forth. But with the corona, that's just that's not happening no time soon. But I felt like when I was I was trying to date. You're right. You have to meet people in public and in personal. I mean, in different places, because for some reason I kept coming up with all these midgets. Not that they were midgets, but they were shorter. Their ass was shorter than me, and I was like, wait a minute, Jesus, I didn't ask for this. I did not ask for Pepe Le Pew. I didn't ask for none of this, and I think that's what upset me the most, because many people, they lie. They lie without a conscience. They just trying to get in where they fit in. And my thing is, that's not going to get you anywhere. At least be honest about something, And, when it comes to online dating, people have old ass pictures. They don't even look nowhere close to what's on what's on their profile. And that makes the dating game even harder, even harder. And or they in the picture with someone else, or they got their kids. I don't want to meet your kids, and I don't want to meet your mama, and I don't want to meet your sister, cousin. I don't want to meet none of them. I barely know your ass. So why do I need to see all this picture? But anyways, when dating, when you're working with your clients, What are some things you tell them not to do? What are some things that you might want to tell them if they are in a place where they're not only trying to work on themselves, but get to push into a relationship? What are some of the don'ts that you advise them not to do?
Well, overall, I would say for both men and women, it's not having. You got to make sure you don't have a needy type of energy when you're dealing with anybody.
Right.
So, because that's the thing that because what happens is most of the time, either we haven't been dating for a while, so when we do meet someone, we're excited, we're like, oh, I want to see this person again, you're thinking about them, you're texting them all day and everything,
right?
So and it can come off as needy because you have that energy already as needy. But also too, what'll happen also is you might be dating and then you're not really meeting that many people you like, but then you actually one day meet this person you like. You really like this person. So then now you're going to be even extra needy because you're like, man, I haven't, it's hard for me to find someone I like, and I finally met this person I like.
Right.
So then what happens is that you give off that needy energy automatically. So the best course of action is while you're dating, you always have to have a sort of nonchalant, take it or leave it attitude, no matter how much you like the person. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because what happens is that when you're sort of like in that state where you're super excited and you're wondering about this person, you think about this person, you're so infatuated that you're not really being yourself. You're actually just being very like needy and have that sort of energy. So what I tell people is, still date other people, still do the other things you've been doing in your life, and and just hit that person up and say, hey, I had a good time the other time. When are you free again? Let's hang out, and just keep it very casual and cool, calm, and collected. Because the thing is, that's going to make you more attractive to that person you're interested in. Okay. Versus if you're needy, that's going to make you seem
the word need. Sorry, but for those who don't understand the word needy, the other slash word is thirsty. That's the word.
Exactly. Right.
That's the word.
And that's what happens to a lot of people too. Is that they get because people have their own agendas and their own thoughts of what they want. So now, whenever you meet someone who you think fits that agenda, that's when a lot of the neediness happens, because you're like, man, I need to make this work. This has to work because this is exactly what I want. This is exactly what I'm looking for. And usually what happens is that needy energy is a thing that messes everything up. That's the thing that makes the person sort of drift away from you. You understand? Because you're doing way too much too soon. Yeah. And and another thing that I tell especially men when it comes to dating is I tell men to wait at least, because a lot of guys, they hit me up, they say they'll be like, oh, I want a girlfriend or whatever, right? And I tell guys to date a woman for at least a year before she's actually your girlfriend.
Wow. Wow. Yes. Wait a minute, that's a long ass time.
It seems long, but it's not really. But there's a reason for it. And I would even suggest women do that also. You understand what I'm saying? And this is the reason why. The reason why is because what happens is that you need time, men and women both, you need time to actually see if you and this person click. You need time to actually also see the real person. Yeah. Because what happens is sometimes in relationships, this is why you have so many relationships that nowadays that only last 2 or 3 months. And it's because what happens is that people get so excited with, oh, this person's so new, the energy's so new and fresh and it's exciting. And then what happens is the reality sets in, and then that little honeymoon stage is over. And then what people think is they think, oh, well, this person isn't right for me because I don't like them anymore. They're annoying me. They're pissing me off. But really what's happening is that you were just on a high, and then now you crashed. You understand what I'm saying? And so, and this also happens a lot for women too, in the game, where most guys, there's a lot of guys out there, what they'll do is, and women have to watch out for this, and I call it, they come in like really hot, meaning you meet a guy, he seems like the perfect dude. He's real, like, attentive. He's calling you every night, talking about, good night, beautiful, good morning, beautiful, all that other
that bull crap.
You're right. You know
That's
what I'm
that
saying?
bull crap.
Right. And then, so he does all of these things, and you're starting to like him, you're starting to fall for him, and you're thinking everything's good, the sex is good, everything is cool. And then after a while, maybe 2, 3, 4 months in, right? He starts to fall off. He starts to starts calling you less. He starts, being less like responsive. He's not sending those good morning texts as much. And that's because what happened is that he burnt out. The situation's burnt out. And what happened is that he was never, all that stuff he did before was never real. It was just for him to solidify him having you for a while so he could have some consistent sex. You see what I'm saying? And so,
well, damn.
And so, right. And so what I tell women is, because women all the time, they ask me, how do you know if this is the right guy, that's the right guy, whatever. And what I tell women is that usually it's a time issue. You got to spend time to see if the guy is the right guy or not. But I would say a good rule of thumb is that if a guy is coming in when you first meet him, and he starts coming in doing all that sweet, awesome stuff at first, that's a red flag.
Oh,
you understand what I'm saying? That's a red flag. The best course of action, or the best types of guys that you want to look out for, who's really about something, are the guys you date, but they don't do anything really extravagant. Like, they may meet you for a date, y'all go get some drinks, and then he'll probably hit you up next week and say, hey, you want to go and get something to eat or whatever, let's hang out, and y'all probably have sex, and then he hits you up next week and y'all chill or whatever. But it's not like he's not calling you every day. He's not, you understand what I'm saying? Like, those are the type of guys that are like better suited for, either a relationship or a guy who's really on point. Because this is the thing, a guy who's on point actually has things going on in his life. Therefore, this is why he's not calling you every day, talking about good morning, beautiful, and all of that. The guys who are doing all those things, texting you every 5 seconds and doing all that sweet stuff, that's because they know that this is what women are looking for, and they play that role. You know what I'm saying?
Player.
Hooked. Right, exactly. And then they just drop it off. They dropped it after that's done. But this is what I'm saying again. This is why you should be waiting for a while before you get into a relationship with anyone, or even a guy gets into a relationship with a woman, is because both parties need to spend time to see who the real person is.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And that's what most people don't do. This is why a lot of times you have marriages and stuff that don't last long. People getting divorced after a year and all of that, because they never took the time to really, know the person. You see what I'm saying? And that's really what it is.
And that goes both ways, because I think at times when you get ready to date, like you said, some anxiety sets in, and you're trying to just kind of get yourself together. But most of the time when people are dating, you meet the person, you're not even meeting them, you're meeting a representative of who
exactly.
of who would they like to be, who they want to be, or so forth. So that can be very tricky as well too. And I think a lot of times we don't pay attention to those red flags that are there. We're so, like you said, we're very thirsty about getting a date and so forth. We don't even want to write down what we're really looking for, or what it is that we need, because there are a lot of needs that that each person needs. And like a young lady was telling me one time, she's like, Valencia, I went out on a date and I really, really, really liked it. I said, but you ain't even know the dude. How you gonna like him? You ain't been there an hour. How do you like him? You don't even know him. And I hear so many things, but I'm not saying I'm perfect, because I fall into that trap. I done got played and I done played. So when it comes to dating in general, what would you tell a lady who took time off not to date, and who was trying to get back out to try to fulfill some things in her life, wanting to have a good time? What are some things you would tell the woman if she's pursuing that avenue to try to get back out there and date?
So, like you're saying, if a woman hasn't been out there yet, like she took time off to like do her school thing and her work thing, and now she's want to get back in the game. Was that you asking? Well, the thing is, for women, the main thing that I always tell women is that you have to be more open-minded and be more open to different situations, different types of guys, and be open to trying new things. So what I mean is, what a lot of women will have in their mind, they have a set, rigid sort of list of things that need to happen or have to happen, or he has to be this way or be that way, right? And so the reason why I'm saying be more open is because you want your pool of men that you can choose from to be wider. Because, for example, there'll be women who will say, I only want to date a guy who's 6 feet or taller, and that's ridiculous because most of the population is not 6 feet or taller.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you're narrowing your scope of what you can get. You understand? Like, you can say, hey, I want a guy tall, thing where it needs to be a wider spectrum. Also, for women, women generally need to be more realistic.
Well,
when it comes to
with your picky asses.
Right. So a lot of times what will happen is this, and this is something that women I've talked about before. Women don't like to hear this, but it's true. Is that the more attractive and high quality the guy is, the harder it is usually it's going to be to keep him. You understand what I'm saying?
You better believe that, because honey, you gonna have that's a full-time job.
Right.
That's another job. Come on.
Right. It's gonna be harder to keep him to yourself. Now, the thing is, you can be with a high quality dude and that attractive guy, but usually what will happen is that he is going to also want other women. Yeah. Because guys like that, they have a bunch of women who want them also. Yeah. So what happens is you can get a guy who wants to be in a monogamous relationship with you, but every woman is running after the Idris Elba and those type of guys. And I'm like, those type of guys in real life aren't usually trying to just be with one woman. Now, you can find a guy like that, but generally it's harder to get that guy. Versus if you have just your regular dude, good dude, he's on point, that guy will be better suited for that long-term monogamous relationship. That's more realistic versus trying to chase like the Idris Elbas of the world. You know what I'm saying? Like,
boy, I tell you, standards way too high.
Right. So it's like, and that's the thing where, it's a little bit about being more realistic about what you're trying to get and what you want. So if you want, let's say a woman is saying, oh, I want to be married, I want to have a husband and kids and all that other stuff, and it's like, okay, you can do that, but it's don't expect to get that guy who 100 other women want at the same time. Yeah, it's going to be hard for you to
stay in your lane, ladies. Stay in your lane. Get someone who actually work a good job, gonna have time for you. He may be a little special need, but that's okay. He gonna be there. He gonna be there and be fully committed to you. But don't take him nowhere with you. Tell everybody he may be your client. He may be just a friend or a cousin. But honey, y'all standards are way too high. I'm telling you.
And the thing is, it's not necessarily where you gotta lower your standards. You have to have realistic standards.
But I think some women should lower some part of men too, because like you said, it won't be realistic. That all depends on what type of player you are and the person that you are. That all depends on where you are in your life and what you have to offer at the end of the day. Because when it all boils down, it still comes to it's one or two things: money or love. It's one or two things, Right. And some people get married for the wrong reason, which is money. But most people get married that really gonna stay in a true relationship. Like people who've been together since high school, they always gonna be together because that's where the love is. But most people nowadays are looking for that financial stability. Say, you know what, I in just in case I lose my damn job, I want to make sure that we're gonna be okay. Our house ain't gonna get foreclosed on, and so really a lot of relationships are built on, and there's nothing wrong with that, because if you want to have a family, that's important. That's important. If you want to tour the whole world or build a company, that's important. Yes, money and love have a lot to do with it. I think when it comes to relationships, I've heard some crazy stories. I've heard not relationships but dating. I've heard some crazy stories. So tell me, I know you can leave our audience with a crazy story because I know it's been some foolishness going on. So,
right.
Do you have an interesting story to tell about one of your clients, not revealing their name or anything, but anything that has happened interesting while you have worked with people?
I mean, well, I can tell you I'll tell you something that happened with me. So I know.
Well, that's even better.
Right. So I mean, this was years ago. I was probably like in my early, like mid-20s or whatever, and so I used to sell CDs in Times Square when I was rapping back in the day, right? and so what I would usually do is I would like try to. Most of the people that bought my CDs were the women because I would go up there and flirt with them and get them to buy my stuff. So this one girl, I was talking to her, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm from out of town," and we started, just interacting with each other. I said, "Hey, I'm gonna stop selling these CDs around 6. I can meet you later. We can get a drink and hang out." So she said, "Cool." So now I meet up with her, we're hanging out. And we're talking, you know what I'm saying, having a conversation or whatever. And out of the blue, she just starts crying.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Just out of nowhere. And crying like a lot, like she's at a funeral or something. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, yo, like, I'm like, are you okay? And then I put my hand on her shoulder and asked her, is she okay? As soon as I put my hand on her shoulder, she moved my hand away and was like, yo, get the fuck off me. Like that type of thing, right? And so I'm like, yo, what the hell, And then so she stops crying, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, and then she stops crying. So I'm like, okay. So then we start talking again, and she's talking to me regular, like she didn't just, like she wasn't just crying or something like that. So next thing we still talking. I'm like, okay, I guess we're still talking. 5 minutes later, she starts crying again. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, what the hell is going on with this woman? So I said, listen, you seem like you are having a bad, something's going on. I'll get you a cab and you can just go back to where you're going to be at. Right? So then she leaves, she goes in the cab, and then she hits me up the next day and she's like, hey, I had a really great time last night. It was a really good day. We should hang out again. And I'm just like, this lady's crazy.
You done lost your rabbit ass mind.
I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, how you think this is a good date when you was sitting there crying? I'm like, I don't know, maybe she has some emotional issues. I have no idea what was going on with this woman, but it was weird, and it was just weird. You know what I'm saying? Wow. And that's one of the PG-13 stories. I don't want to say rated X stories, but that's just one of the.
Yes, keep it PG-13. Keep it PG-13. Right. We don't know who listening to this, but that is. But and I mean, that's crazy. Just crying out of the blue moon.
Just out of the blue. I was like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. It was crazy. So.
Honey, one of my girlfriends went on a damn date, and she was excited because she was like, well, V, we've been talking to this guy for a while. I'm going to go meet him. I'm sending you a picture of him and this and that. And I was like, oh my God, he is very, he looked very attractive and so forth. Honey, when she said she got there, he had on one of them Flavor Flav medallions. I said, girl, you done got your feelings all. She said, V, he kept asking me what time it was. I said, I think you got pranked. She said, girl. She said, I couldn't believe he had that big ass clock around his damn neck. She said, because when she walked in the place, he had on this big old, like one of them FUBU jackets, one of them leather FUBU jackets. And she said, when he unbuttoned the jacket, that was the medallion. I was like, shut up. But she said none of his pictures had that clock in it. I said, I'm done. But you know what? You got to go, when you reach a certain age, because when you're young, this shit don't matter. It matters, but it don't matter as much. But I think the older you get with age and you go through things and life experience, you kind of like, I ain't going for this shit. I'm not doing this. I'm not putting up with this. And that goes through your 20s, 30s, and 40s, and 50s and on up. What, with your expertise and your advice, when it comes to dating and, dealing with other people, what advice do you want to leave with my audience as far as that goes? professionally, because a lot of people think they got to figure it out. And like I said, like you said earlier, a lot of people, they have the wrong motives and things like that. And they need to be very careful because people crazy. People are crazy.
Right. I mean, I think one of the main things that I teach is just being as authentic as possible, because that's how you attract the people who you're meant to be with. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Right. Because this is the thing, is that you got to understand that there's a such thing as compatibility. There has to be, you got to be compatible with the person you're dealing with. So the thing is, what messes people up is that people are so afraid to be alone that they're willing to do any and everything to be with someone. And even to the point of, well, I'm going to pretend to be this person. I'm going to lie. I'm going to do all this other stuff. And then so what happens is you may have some, short-term victories in certain situations, but it's never really anything substantial. So what'll happen is sometimes you may end up meeting somebody you like. Yeah. And because you're not being authentic, because you're being kind of fake, because you're doing playing a lot of games, once that person finds out or realizes, then they'll end up not wanting to deal with you, and they'll lose interest in you, and then now you're back to square one. Versus if you're actually just being authentic and putting in work also, because you still got to put in work to find these people that you're going to connect with, putting in work, and then just gravitating to the people who you actually click with, and then you'll have better situations in your relationships. Right. And so the thing is also too is that it's about having good relationships, period. So what most people think is, they think that they think that a successful relationship is just how long the relationship is, which is false. You understand? You can have a successful relationship with someone you spent a few weeks with. You understand? Because, or you could have a really terrible relationship with someone you've been with for 5 years. You see what I mean? So it's not really the length, it's the quality of the relationship. And so what happens is that you may have a quality relationship with someone for a month, but that's because you were authentic in what you were looking for. They were authentic in what they were looking for, and it just worked out that way. And the reason why, let's say, for example, it didn't last more than a month, it could be a number of different things. It could be like, hey, we were just like hooking up. We weren't trying to do anything serious. Or, this person moved away, or, this person had another job that took up a lot of time, so then they couldn't see each other anymore, or whatever it is. Or this person probably met somebody else and then they wanted to do something else, which is fine. But what it is that the moments you had with that person, if it's quality, then that means that it was successful. But you usually only get those quality relationships the more authentic you are, because then you're going to meet people who are also authentic with what they're doing, and that's how y'all connect and click.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, that's what it is.
That's what's up. Well, Mr. Locario, I appreciate you sharing your information, and I appreciate your time. I won't hold you because I'm pretty sure you have a lot to do while we're quarantining.
Right.
And while we going through this situation in the world and so forth, give people your handle and let them know where they can find you, and give them all that good jizz.
Okay, cool. So you guys can check me out on Instagram at Real Mr. Locario. That's REAL Mr. MR and Locario LOCARIO. Or you can check out my main site, MrLocario.com. And you can check out my other site, BadBoyMembership.com. And for the ladies, I have another site called HeWantsYou.com, where you can get some of my free programs on there.
I know that's right. Well, guys, you guys heard it from the professional, the one and only Mr. Locario. You guys check him out on Instagram. You're also on Facebook as well, too?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, too. So you can use Facebook.com/Mr. Locario and hit me up on there.
Perfect. Well, I really appreciate this, and hopefully we'll do another segment where we can maybe pick a topic and kind of go from there, and maybe we get some good views on it. We'll see how things go.
That sounds good.
That's what's up. Well, I appreciate you guys. Everybody be blessed, and hopefully everybody's staying safe out there in these streets. I would say, practice social distancing, and, but if you love somebody, get close as you can to them. You guys be easy. Peace out.